Hi everyone, my name is JC of The Mindful Awakening, and welcome to another episode of Mindful Monday, where we'll take a look at the general collective energy for the week of October 4th to the 10th. Now I realize this is happening a day late. Some personal changes in my life and 7 planets in retrograde have made it very challenging for me to stay on schedule, and I figured at the end of the day it's better to show up and be in action, even if it is a day late. So I hope that these messages still do resonate with you all. If they don't at the moment, please check back later on in the week, as time is fluid and energy is fluid as well. We have a new moon in Libra tomorrow. I'm filming this on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have our new moon in Libra, so a lot of endings, new beginnings, chaotic energy with Mercury in retrograde. There's just a lot going on. So we're going to be using the original Rider-Waite deck to pull our messages, clarified by the Light Seers Tarot, advice pulled from the Keepers of the Light Oracle, and a short reading from the Warrior of the Light. Show us what we need to see for the general collective for October 4th to the 10th. Show us what we need to see. Show us what we need to see October 4th to the 10th. Interesting energy. So we're starting off the week with the 4 of Swords upright. The 4 of Swords is air sign energy. This is a need for taking a break, for a need for rest, a need for recharging and retreating after a period of time that was very challenging, emotionally draining. You could have experienced some sort of betrayal, and now you need a chance to recover. It could have been overworking and a need to rest. This could also be related to retrograde season, since during Mercury retrograde, there is a massive slowdown collectively, a chance for us to collect our thoughts, to rest, retreat, reevaluate, and to rediscover maybe certain things, patterns of ourselves, things in our way of being that perpetuate certain cycles that need to come to an end. We will pull more clarification cards to get clear on what the 4 of Swords means for us this week. Following the 4 of Swords, we have the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. I'm getting the sense here that we are looking for reciprocity. We are looking for a more equal give and take in and an equal energy exchange, whether it be in personal relationships, in workplace. There's something to be said about equality in this card. And I think a lot of us are starting to realize that maybe we've given too much to certain situations, whether personal or professional, and our need to rest and retreat is illuminating for us the patterns, the toxic patterns that we may have that perpetuate these things in our daily life. We also have the 6 of Cups upright. While we are noticing with the 6 of Pentacles in reverse that we want reciprocity, we are also thinking about the type of connections that we are making, the type of offers we are giving to other people in terms of connecting, and the types of offers that we are receiving back as well. And when you couple that with the next card, which is the Hierophant card upright, there's something to be said about tradition here. I think some of us are starting to consider what tradition even means, like a traditional 9-to-5 job, a traditional partnership, marriage. These are the things that bring us stability in our life, and yet there's something to be said about the 4 of Swords coming out of something that's chaotic, something that's not necessarily working the way that we had hoped it would, and yet there's still this desire for stability. There's still this desire for the old. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but there is something to be said about what the Hierophant represents. When it comes to these traditions, it's almost like the tried and true way of doing things. And I think during retrograde right now, this week, we are really considering if these tried and true methods have actually been tried and true, or if we're just going towards these things because we've been conditioned to believe that this is what's safe, this is what's best for us, this is what is stable. Let's pull some clarification cards on the Four of Swords. I think we're just reevaluating in general what tradition even means to us as a whole. Things haven't worked out for us in the way that we imagined. Let's see. Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is clarified by the King of Pentacles in reverse, the Nine of Pentacles upright, and the Queen of Wands upright. There's a desire here to get back to our passions, but to align ourselves with something that not only feeds our passion, but also brings stability. That also helps us to relax into what our blessings are. We've come a long way as a collective. And I think when we are constantly measuring and assessing and measuring our success on specific things, it can be very easy to become our own worst critics here. And I think when money isn't flowing, sometimes money does not match, doesn't match our contribution to the world. Does that make sense? Sometimes when you are the most passionate about something, when you are contributing to the collective energy, when you are living in purpose, which actually does feel like such an accomplishment, sometimes this shows up in not the most stable way. Sometimes our passions and our contributions don't equal the amount of money in our pocket. And I think there's a struggle to reconcile both of these situations. And I think there's like a reconsideration happening on a collective level between the things that light us up on the inside, knowing that we are contributing to the collective consciousness and reaping the benefits of our hard work, labor, our efforts over an extended period of time, versus the money in our bank and the structures, the traditions that are associated to this idea of success, this traditional idea of success. Let's take a look at the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles. Can we clarify the Six of Pentacles? Show us what we need to see for October 4th to the 10th. Six of Pentacles. I think there's also a struggle between balancing our 9-to-5 jobs versus what actually lights us up. And I think some of us are starting to see that what lights us up is not necessarily in alignment with what we do to make our money. And I think we're starting to really unpack what it means to live in purpose when there's things that you need to pay for in order to live life in the traditional ways that we know how. So to clarify, the Six of Pentacles, we have the Hanged Man in reverse, the King of Cups in reverse, and the Four of Pentacles. There's a lot that we're keeping too close to our chest right now. Maybe in the workplace, we feel slightly inauthentic in our way of being. And maybe some of us have a story that we've created that we need to be this way in order to protect something. We need to protect something that we're keeping to ourselves as a result of certain societal structures that are in place at the moment globally that can sometimes prevent us from tapping into our emotions and living our truth in an open and honest way. I think there's a need here to have to look at our current situations from a different perspective. There's a blessing in disguise. There's a silver lining in everything that's happening, even though for the moment there is a need or like an initial urge to protect ourselves, to protect our peace, to protect our ideas, to protect our creativity, our sovereignty, our energy, and to protect our hearts as we try to navigate this new emerging world. Let's take a look at the Six of Cups. Again, this idea of balance being needed. And maybe some of us have created stories that we need to keep certain authentic parts of ourselves hidden at the moment because of a fear that we won't get equal treatment for whatever our truth happens to be. Almost like we're being forced to stay hidden. Six of Cups. Let's take a look at the Six of Cups. Six of Cups is clarified by the Tower in reverse, the Knight of Cups in reverse, and the Two of Wands in reverse. We are having a hard time with life at the moment, struggling to decide whether we should stay in a particular situation or move forward. There's a fear associated with the unknown here. We don't know what moving forward looks like. And some of us might be dealing with a water sign, a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Some of us might be dealing with a highly emotional situation, whether in personal relationships or in professional world. And these changes have to happen, but we're clinging so hard to this old paradigm, to this old way of relating to one another. I think some of us have deluded ourselves into thinking if we keep on giving more, the more we give, the more we'll receive in return, when in actuality, we're doing more, we're doing too much. Doing more is actually preventing the tower from falling and creating space to open us up to new energy, new possibilities, to open us up to a timeline that's actually more in alignment with us, because we're clinging on to this emotional thing that is deeply rooted in a trauma from our past, that's deeply rooted from a past way of looking at the world. When we're so consumed with this idea of an older reality, even when we see the current one crumbling in front of our face, we cling as hard as we can, and we give more and more and more of our emotions to try to keep this thing from falling. But what's really being told to us through these synchronicities taking place is we need to change the perspective that we have around this thing that we're holding on to, this thing that's rooted in tradition, whether it's relationship again or in work. This thing that we have told ourselves is the thing that we need in order to feel safe and stable and to provide a solid future. Can we get clarification on the Hierophant, please? And it's a very highly emotional energy right now. I'm feeling so much chaos, this need to grasp onto anything that feels stable, even if it's an old paradigm that no longer fits into our current reality. So the Hierophant is clarified by the Two of Pentacles upright, the Queen of Swords in reverse, and the Chariot in reverse. You need to make a choice. You can no longer juggle both situations. If you're juggling two jobs, if you're juggling to stay or to go, a choice needs to be made here. And you're going to have to think about whether you're going to move forward and the sacrifices you have to make in order to live into that timeline, or if you're going to tell yourself that you're going to stay in this situation. There's no movement forward at the moment because there's a lack of balance here, and you're having a hard time getting clarity on what choices you need to make next. I think there's illusions. You're deluding yourself. And I am too. We all are. That's the energy right now with Mercury retrograde. It's hard to cut through the bullshit with the Queen of Swords in reverse in order to see things for what they are, in order to move forward with clarity, with compassion, with strength, because a choice needs to be made. And that choice needs to be made through reconsidering what traditional things we're holding on to and whether or not these traditions have transformed. And an acceptance needs to be had with something that needs to transform. All right, can we get some advice? Keepers of the light, can we get some advice for this week, October 4th to the 10th? Some advice. And the advice for this week is the Shekinah. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Sacred self. Unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred rhythm of life. I'm going to pull one more. Commander Astar, call to action, take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. This is exactly what it is. You need to take action. You need to choose. Stop juggling. Let the tower fall. Stop holding on to things so close to your chest when you know that there needs to be some sort of transformation in our ideas of what tradition is. there's a need to honor your sacred self, is to unleash your spirit, be the light in the world, be that voice that you know you've always needed to be, whether in society, in your family life, with your friendships, in your love relationships. There's something to be said about being so authentically you that your light shines for the collective, regardless of whether you are choosing to do it or not. Don't hold yourself back, especially not this week. I know I realize that with the Four of Swords energy, the first piece of advice I gave was to just chill out for a second. Yes, absolutely chill out for a second. But I think that chilling out, that need for rest, is really just to give us a moment to mourn the things that are no longer working, and to take a deep breath, to give ourselves breath, to give ourselves life back into our life, so that we can move forward and generate and create new possibilities for ourselves, which can then be mirrored out into the collective. All right, Warrior of the Light. A warrior of the light practices a powerful exercise for inner growth. He pays attention to the things he does automatically, such as breathing, blinking, or noticing the things around him. He does this when he feels confused, and in this way, he frees himself from the tensions and allows his intuition to work more freely without interference from his fears and desires. Certain problems that appeared to be insolvable are resolved. Certain sorrows from which he thought he would never recover vanish naturally. He uses this technique whenever he is faced with a difficult situation. The warrior of the light studies the two columns on either side of the door he is trying to open. One is called fear and the other is called desire. The warrior looks at the column of fear, and on it is written, "You are entering a dangerous, unfamiliar world where everything you have learned up until now will prove useless." Everything you have learned until now are traditions. The Hierophant card. Everything you have learned up until now will prove useless. The warrior looks at the column of desire, and on it is written, "You are about to leave a familiar world wherein and stored all the things you ever wanted and for which you have struggled long and hard." The warrior smiles because nothing frightens him and nothing holds him back. With the confidence of one who knows what he wants, he opens the door. It's time for us to open this door collectively. And this week is really going to be all about, yes, taking that time to rest and recover from the realization that nothing will ever be the same again. And whether you feel that on a personal level or as a collective, I encourage you, I urge you to lean into that feeling of uncomfortability and sadness in order to heal that, so that you can turn this Tower card upright, be in control of your situation. You are the master of your life. You are the warrior of the light. You need to turn this Tower card upright, let the tower fall, reconsider what you think the traditions are for your life, and start to mirror your sacred self, your higher self, your gifts and your talents out to the world. I hope this message resonates with you all this week. Take care, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.